Hey, what's going on, guys? OJ back here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the fights to make after UFC Vancouver, right? Reiner De Ridder just got fraud checked by Brendan Allen. A lot of uneventful fights outside of that in the co-main and feature fight. And I'm just going to be talking about what we should do with all of these fighters. All right, I'm going to have some marquee names, winners on the card. I'm not going to be covering everybody. All right, that's not for me, but I'm going to be covering uh, as many fighters as I can. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. Okay, let's just get the obvious matchup out of the way. Brendan Allen versus Dricus du Plessis. Alright, this is the obvious fight to make. Like, I don't know how the UFC can mess this up. Alright, they both hate each other. They're both near the top 5 of the division. And Brendan Allen's situation, if he beats Dricus, he gets a title shot to fight Hamza Chimaev. Like, everything is picture perfect for Brendan Allen versus DDP. And plus, alright, this is gonna be arguably the goofiest fight you'll ever watch. Alright? Brendan Allen, he'll put himself in goofy positions. Meanwhile, DDP, alright, he'll throw the lunging 1-2 with his eyes closed. Like, he'll try to just muscle his way out of side control. Like, DDP does some very goofy and funny things, and I could see DDP versus Brendan Allen being an enjoyable watch for us goofy goober enjoyers. So have Brendan Allen versus DDP ready sometime in the middle of 2026. And if Brendan Allen can somehow pull the upset against DDP, let's have Brendan Allen fight Hamza Chimaev for the belt next. Moving on, we got Reiner De Ridder. He lost to Brendan Allen. It was a bad loss. Brendan Allen, coming in on short notice, mogged Reiner De Ridder in the cardio. Reiner De Ridder had nothing to offer past the end of the second round. All right. I know that Reiner De Ridder had that reverse triangle locked in for a bit, but outside of that, there was nothing that RDR really offered. And to me, it felt like I had to genuinely question how is Reiner De Ridder top 5 in the middleweight division? So it's a bad loss. He's gonna have to fight below him in the rankings. And the guy I think is most deserving right now is Kyle Barallo. Now I understand that Kyle Barallo, he lost to Nasruddin Imavov. But the difference is Kyle Barallo fought someone who's not only higher ranked, right? Kyle Barallo also had a competitive fight with Nasruddin Imavov. So the layout of the middleweight division, I think this is the fight that makes most sense for both guys. The winner can try to look right back into a matchup in the top 5. At the same time, though, Reiner De Ridder could move up to light heavyweight, and that could throw a wrench in both divisions. But if Reiner De Ridder is going to stay at middleweight, have him fight Kyle Brallo, and the winner of this fight can look back up to the top 5 of the middleweight division. All right, now up next we got Mike Malott. He beat Kevin Owens to get ranked. All right, I quite frankly don't believe in Mike Malott, but knowing what the UFC does, all right, they love their Canadian prospects. They especially love Mike Malott for some reason. I guess the UFC is just gonna give him Gilbert Burns. All right, Mike Malott, quite frankly, I don't think he's good, but seeing Gilbert Burns' trajectory in his career, coming off 3 straight losses, that loss to Michael Morales was really bad. Like, Michael Morales just put him out away in the first round. And I think Gilbert Burns' durability is just cooked. But at the same time, Mike Malott I don't think he's skilled enough to be top 10. So this is an approachable matchup for both guys. Like, keep in mind, it wasn't that long ago when Mike Malott got stunned by Neil Magny. So there is an open path for Gilbert Burns for this fight. It's just a matter of, is Gilbert Burns a walking dead body? Low key, I think Gilbert Burns is a walking dead body, but I don't rate Mike Mallett's skills. So book this fight, approachable for both guys. Hopefully Gilbert Burns wins, but probably not. All right, now up next we got Kevin Holland versus Joel Alvarez. Kevin Holland lost to Mike Malott. That is simply unacceptable. And seeing as how Kevin Holland at this point isn't even ranked, I say let's feed him to the next upcoming prospect. And that next upcoming prospect is Joel Alvarez. All right. Joel Alvarez is probably going to dust up Kevin Holland using the lighter man skill. I don't want to see Kevin Holland get like an easy tune-up fight to potentially find himself back into the rankings because realistically, I don't even think a win over Vicente Luque should have got him a ranking spot. So have Joel Alvarez fight Kevin Holland. Let Joel Alvarez build himself up by dusting Kevin Holland. And then from there, we can build up Joel Alvarez as a legitimate prospect. And let's see if he has the tools to potentially make a title run for the welterweight division. All right, now up next, we got Aiemann Zahabi. All right, he beat Marlon Chito Vera in a fight that I arguably scored for Chito Vera. I don't know who Aiemann Zahabi really has left, but looking at the division, Davidson Figueiredo's the only guy that comes to mind. I know Aiemann Zahabi called out Sean O'Malley. You're not getting a fight with Sean O'Malley. Simple as that. I know he's free right now. You're just not getting that fight. Aiemann Zahabi versus Davidson Figueiredo. Their schedules line up. Uh, they're in similar positions of the division. Davidson Figueiredo is not really going to get a jump up, even though he beat Montel Jackson. And it's approachable for both guys. All right. Aiemann Zahabi, I don't think his grappling is good. Meanwhile, Davidson Figueiredo, yes, he can grapple and possibly submit Zahabi, but at the same time, Aiemann Zahabi, all right, I think he's going to be much better on the feet because Davidson Figueiredo, he just doesn't throw much output, which is how Aiemann Zahabi is able to capitalize on opponents. So I have Aiemann Zahabi fight Davidson Figueiredo. Honestly, like the winner of this fight is gonna be looking for a top 5 opponent. Like, do I think either of these guys are top 5 caliber? No. But I guess they both put in enough work. So let's see who wins between Aiemann Zahabi and Davidson Figueiredo. I would say the UFC would book this fight sometime around May of 2026, and then from there we could see if Aiemann Zahabi can actually fluke a win against a top 5 opponent, or if Davidson Figueiredo is not washed and he's still got some gas left in the tank. All right, now up next we got Marlon Chito Vera, lost to Aiemann Zahabi, simply disgraceful, and we gotta get Marlon Chito Vera out of the rankings at this point. He has not won a fight since 2022, and that one win was against Pedro Munoz via goofy decision. So have Marlon Chito Vera fight Vinicius Oliveira. Vinicius Oliveira, simply put, is a prospect to be out on the lookout for. Now, this isn't completely cooked for Chito Vera because Vinicius Oliveira does have his hands down. His defense is very questionable, but at the same time, I want to see if anyone can knock out Chito Vera. And if anyone can in the bantamweight division has the ability to knock out Chito Vera, that guy is Vinicius Oliveira. So make this fight happen sometime around middle of 2026, and hopefully we get Chito Vera out the rankings, and so we can build Vinicius Oliveira's name up as a prospect. All right, now up next we got Manon Fiorot. She knocked out Jasmine Jusevicius in the first round. I have a hard time trying to find a matchup for Manon Fiorot because realistically, who's left to fight her? Right, she's beaten a lot of the top 10 women in the flyweight division right now. And the only person that she hasn't really fought is either like Natalia Silva, which why would Natalia Silva fight Manon Fiorot when Natalia Silva can just get a title shot? Or Alexa Grasso, who doesn't deserve a fight with Manon Fiorot, seeing as how Alexa Grasso is on a 2-fight loss streak. So Manon Fiorot, have her fight the winner between Erin Blanchfield and Tracy Cortez. Erin Blanchfield and Tracy Cortez are both fighting on the Madison Square Garden card, which is like next month. They're going to be on similar time schedules to Manon Fiorot. And yes, even though Erin Blanchfield did fight Manon Fiorot in the past, all right, I say that Erin Blanchfield is also in a similar position in the flyweight division if she gets past Tracy Cortez, because realistically, like, who else is she really gonna fight? So have Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez, all right, and the winner of that can fight Manon Fiorot. I'd say sometime around like International Fight Week, maybe a little bit past that, but either way, I think the winner between Aaron Blanchfield and Tracy Cortez should fight Manon Fiorot next for a potential title elimination bout. All right, now moving on, we got Charles Jourdain versus Kyler Phillips. This is pretty straightforward. Charles Jourdain is going to get Kyler Phillips out of the bantamweight rankings. Realistically, I have no idea how Kyler Phillips is still ranked in the bantamweight division in 2025. I think Charles Jourdain's the guy to do it. He's coming off an impressive win against Davy Grant, where he busted his nose open with a flying knee and then submitted him with the guillotine. All right, Charles Jourdain beat a guy that arguably should be ranked. You know, Davy Grant's had a lot of good wins, like a Jonathan Martinez, a Damon Blackshear. He arguably should have beat Adrian Yanez and Daniel Marcos. Like, these are solid level competitors at bantamweight. So the fact that Charles Jourdain was able to dust up Davy Grant that easily proves how good he is at bantamweight. So Charles Jourdain, Kyler Phillips, make the fight happen. And then once Charles Jourdain gets Kyler Phillips out the rankings, then we can build Charles Jourdain up as a potential contender in the bantamweight division. All right, now moving on, we got Kyle Nelson versus Jared Gordon. Kyle Nelson coming off that impressive win over Matt Favola. Uh, I don't think the UFC is really fond of giving Kyle Nelson any favorable treatments. All right, he is 36 years old. He's kind of been like a win-loss fighter as of recently. I know he was on a little bit of a streak, but then he got destroyed by Steve Garcia. So I think the fighter that the UFC is going to put for Kyle Nelson is Jared Gordon. All right, they're both in similar positions in their career. Both are old as hell. I think this is an approachable matchup for both guys because I think it's much better than fighting someone like in their prime, like maybe like a Ignacio Bahamondes coming off a loss. Like, these are approachable matchups. So I'll have Kyle Nelson fight Jared Gordon, and then the winner could find themselves in the top 20-ish of the lightweight division. All right, now up next, we got Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. All right, this matchup is made because I need to find out whether or not Drew Dober still has that motivation in him. All right. Drew Dober, like, yes, he is coming off that impressive win against Kyle Prepelic, but at the same time, it's Kyle Prepelic, and Kyle Prepelic was arguably winning the first two rounds. Drew Dober, I just want to see if he's still got that motivation inside him. All right. Maybe Michael Johnson's trying to resist the knockout, and bam, Drew Dober puts him out cold. But at the same time, Michael Johnson is a tricky customer. All right, Michael Johnson is very hard to deal with on the feet. His boxing is very crisp. He's very fast with his hands, and this is going to be a fun matchup, a fun matchup to be specific. And the winner of this can get a big name matchup. All right, I would love to see Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. Book it. All right, sometime in the middle of 2026. And then from there, we could try to find which unk isn't washed, and we could try to give them a top 20 or 15 opponent in the lightweight division. All right, now up next, we got Aoriqileng versus John Castaneda. Yeah, Aoriqileng got a flatline KO over Cody Gibson in 20 seconds. Like, low key, I think it's a fluke because keep in mind, Aoriqileng did lose a lot of fights prior to that against like not like middle of the pack competition, in my opinion. All right, so have Aoriqileng fight John Castaneda, who I think is at a similar level to Cody Gibson, albeit except John Castaneda is more durable and he's got better wrestling, whereas Cody Gibson's a better striker. But if Aoriqileng can replicate his success and knock out John Castaneda, who is very hard to knock out, then I say Aoriqileng deserves massive praise in the jump up in competition. But seeing as how this could have been the flukiest of fluke wins, I need to see one more fight. Have Aoriqileng fight John Castaneda, and then let's see what happens from there. All right, now up next we got Bruno Silva versus Rafa Estevan / Alan Nascimento. Bruno Silva just bitched Yansung Park, unfortunately for me. All right, Bruno Silva. The thing is, though, he is 36 years old. He has had a lot of bad losses against elite level competition. The UFC does not treat Bruno Silva like he's an upcoming prospect. All right, most likely the UFC is gonna give him like another step down in the rankings. All right, he's probably gonna have to fight Andre Lima, but rather than having him fight like an undefeated prospect, I think this is a more reasonable approach for him, where he fights the winner between Rafa Estevam and Alan Nascimento. All right, both of these guys are fighting in early November for the number 15 spot of the flyweight division. And seeing as how Bruno Silva, he's technically above them, all right, I don't think it's unreasonable though, because 14 and 15 is pretty interchangeable in my opinion. So I have Bruno Silva fight the winner between these two, and then from there we can build the winner up as like a potential top 10 ranked uh flyweight in the flyweight division. All right, now up next we got Djorden Santos versus Robert Rychek. All right, Djorden Santos coming off that win against Danny Barlow. I just think this is a scrappy, fun fight. All right, both guys look in the box. Albeit Robert Rychek, he's a lot more mean with his shots. All right, Jourdain Santos, he's very output heavy, and Robert Rychek has the ability to knock you out. I just think this is gonna be a fun fight. All right, I don't think anything else. All right, both guys love the box. Albeit Jourdain Santos, he's a lot more variety based. Right, he can leg kick at range. He can try to wrestle if he needs to. So I want to see this fight. I just think this is gonna be a fun prelim middleweight bout. Like, put this on like a crowded fight night or pay per view. Make it happen, UFC. Let's see who can come out on top of this pretty fun, scrappy fight. All right. Last but not least, we got Yousri Belgaroui. He knocked out Asmebekov in the third round. I thought it was a very impressive showcase from Yousri Belgaroui, because not many people do that to Asmebekov. And I would still pick Asmebekov to beat a lot of the unranked middleweights in the UFC. And seeing as how Yousri Belgaroui, he's good, and he's like 33 years old, so he's in his prime. He's not going to develop that much over the course of like 3 years. So I say let's rush him a little bit against like a favorable matchup. Have him fight Nursultan Ruziboyev. All right, Nursultan Ruziboyev, he was the guy that was Yousri Belgaroui before Yousri Belgaroui. Albeit Nursultan Ruziboyev doesn't have the clean striking technique that Yousri Belgaroui has. Nursultan Ruziboyev right now is like a top 20, 25-ish middleweight. And if Yousri Belgaroui can get through Nursultan Ruziboyev, I think that's going to be impressive. So Yousri Belgaroui, Nursultan Ruziboyev, book it sometime early of 2026. And if Yousri Belgaroui can win this, then we can start talking about him as a legitimate prospect to be out on the lookout for. All right, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can get this channel monetized. Otherwise, though, I'll have my predictions out for UFC 321. Not exactly sure when, but I will try to get him out by Tuesday. Stay tuned for that. But otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Peace.